0.6. No Galio for either of these two teams. Not that either of these junglers perhaps would move towards that. Kha'Zix's Talon banned out and the Shen, very cut and dry what we've seen in the first 3 games.
No real shift in terms of the bans as of right now. Shen is just a super powerful pick right now. I am a little surprised the Giants have consistently first banned it. Suggests that Fnatic doesn't really play. They've also consistently banned away the Camille, demonstrating perhaps a limitation of the champion pool of Fnatic. Alternatively, it just suggests that they want to get themselves a jungler early on in the rotation. And now that Nautilus has been banned away, we are going back to what Fnatic Academy did exactly in Game 1.
Not too much of a surprise at all. Interesting actually that the Shen is being banned away from Kickers, considering he's got a 0% win rate on that. Lost in the first game against PSG, lost once in Challenger Series as well, but still a strong split pusher when he gets going. Can do quite a lot of work, or at least match an enemy carry in that lane. Final ban is going to be Lulu here, so a bit of a switch from Giants, deciding they really don't like Cly having that Yordle in the bottom lane, and Rengar first pick for Kickers. Amazing.
So I'm going to take a gamble and say that Giants would say Graves Varus.
Oh, great. I forgot about the Graves. I don't... Vedius, you'll have to explain this to me, because I don't see the priority on Graves when you already know the enemy jungler. What's the point? Why not pick it up second rotation and get 2 stronger picks here?
Because it's safe, and you also don't run the risk. Because if you first pick a Zyra, then it gives the window for the enemy team to like pick something like a Karma, or they could go for something a little bit more aggressive, like the Thresh all-in type of bottom lane. By just locking in the Graves now, you have a safe first rotation that you then have more freedom to go for that counter pick.
Well, there is the Zyra pick for them. So as much as they respect the possibility of a counter pick, maybe they were only afraid of the Lulu, not too feared of Cly's Karma or the Thresh that you were talking about. Now we're going to see how Fnatic Academy decide to respond. They've got 2 more picks before the ban phase.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw an Ezreal Karma. I think that it's super safe, works very nicely into this. If Fnatic Academy did want to run a Thresh...
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
So this is this is probably what Kickers was talking about when he says something I've never played on stage. This is his Fizz in the top lane. Such a strong pick, and has been banned out by Giants in the last 2 games.
Yes, now, one of the answers that we actually saw very briefly come out from Misfits in their series against Fnatic was when they locked in the Fizz, they actually banned away Trundle as an answer to it. And we thought about it a little bit more as a possible answer to Fizz, and there are a lot of strengths that it does have. So in the event that a Trundle does get picked up by Giants, it would be used as a counter pick to the Fizz.
Tryndamere is next to Trundle in that champion selector. Maybe he's just placed his Ashe in the wrong position. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Ashe either. Hikyu, most played champion across the LCS. Ashe Zyra as well, bot lane popularized by C9. Is that 2013, 2014?
It was a while ago. Yeah. But a very powerful lane, has a lot of trading power, and now Giants can just ban away the bottom lane. They can pinch away the Ezreal, they can pinch away the Karma too if they want to. They can just focus on pinching away supports like Tahm Kench. Or they can pinch away AD carries and force Rallis onto something like a Caitlyn if they want.
Varus Ezreal does make sense if they decide to go down that route. Varus is the first ban.
Oh, what am I talking about? Malzahar's already picked, so they're naturally going to ban away the
go for those AD carry bans. And you can see, as you say, Fnatic Academy deciding to get rid of the top lane threats that perhaps would be able to deal with this Fizz. Gragas the first ban, maybe that Trundle second. Giants deciding exactly if they... There's always a possibility they go for a Syndra ban here as well, just because Nisqi's had such strong performances on it in the first 2 games.
Maybe. I think that the Syndra hasn't really been the biggest of issues for Giants, but there we are. You know these things much better than I do. The Syndra being taken off the board, very likely that Fnatic Academy will then just go for the Ezreal instead.
I think the thing that I know is that I know Challenger Series and sort of the clowniest of games.
It's an LCS team.
Yes, but they're playing in promotion tournaments against a Challenger team, so they know what they want to get rid of. Jax is the ban here from Fnatic Academy. So Flaxish, that's a reference back to his sort of more carry-orientated days when he was playing sort of the Jax, Irelia, Fiora top lanes. Hasn't been playing that as much recently.
So if you're Giants, do you go for the counter pick here against Fizz, or do you lock in a safe mid laner? There is the current hover that we were talking about. Ooh, but instead they're going to go for the Renekton. So a little bit different to what Trundle does, because Trundle will naturally reach a point where he can duel the Fizz later on into the game, whereas Renekton is much more of a hard early game bully, so he'll trade much better against the Fizz early on. Every time the Fizz tries to play aggressive, or tries to look to trade hard during the laning phase, that is when the Renekton can actually really punish him. So,
is there ever a possibility this Fizz isn't top and it goes mid and just played like sort of down a typical AP assassin route?
Yes, you can, but then you're running the risk of putting the Fizz into the mid lane of Giants. So that means that they get themselves the counter pick, which is not necessarily something that you want. LeBlanc is much safer, and it's something that Nisqy has brought out in the past. So if you're Knight right now, I think an Azir would be really good here. I think Azir has always been a decent pick into the LeBlanc, given the massive range advantage that you have. You have good wave clear against the LeBlanc too. You scale nicely. Alternatively, this is another good answer pick.
Ryze is his most played across the split, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that locked in. It will be. And Vedius, finally. After all our talk about 1-3-1 from Fnatic Academy, we have quite an obvious 1-3-1 coming out from them this time.
Yes, we do. I think that it very much relies on the success of the lanes for Fnatic Academy. You cannot afford to have this Fizz fall behind, otherwise the Renekton will always have dominance over that side lane, and then the Ryze naturally scales better in terms of team fight value, but in a 1v1, there's always the possibility for Nisqy to be able to get the edge. So early game leads are very important for Fnatic Academy. We've seen that they have been able to do it. Let's see if they can do it again.
Have to look forward, and it actually looks like Kickers might be going for Ignite here as well.
Yeah, we have seen that a couple times.
It's a brave choice though, because if you have Memento focusing up towards that top side, Fizz can get shut down early on when his cooldowns are a little bit longer on that playful Trickster.
The thing that we've seen though throughout this series so far is that Memento is not lane focused at all. I can't actually recall, oh, there was that one counter gank up top lane, but other than that, he hasn't really spent that much time around his laners. Instead, he prefers more focus on vision and farming. We've actually seen a lot of deep wards being invested from Memento, especially during the early parts of the game. However, he doesn't really look to try and snowball his laners, and that's why Fnatic Academy can actually afford to pick these snowbally picks, because of the risk of Memento being in his lanes is actually fairly low.
Well, it's game 3 here between Fnatic Academy and Giants. If you want to get involved, make sure you tweet at us at LOL Esports. If you think Giants are going to win, hashtag GIA win. And if you think Fnatic Academy are going to take the lead in this series, it's hashtag FNA win. We are on to the Summoner's Rift. Ladies and gentlemen, and Andrew Vedius Day, talk to me about this Giants composition. Are they still looking towards 1-3-1?
Well, they have. I think the difference between the two compositions is that Giants have more freedom in their composition with what they want to do, right? Because Ryze has always been considered a decent team fighter, because he does have a bit of AoE in his kit, depending on how well he can land those spells.
He gives no spell flux.
Yep. And then Flaxish on this Renekton as well. He's always going to have massive team fight value. The difficulty is that he struggles against high mobility AD carries that can kite him really well. So he doesn't really want to fight against this composition. But a full 5v5, I would definitely give the edge over to Giants game.
Oh, that's close. And not surprising in any way. 51% to Fnatic, Giants 49%. Vedius, you're going to tip the balance. Who are you going for here?
I have no favorites.
Based on compositions, who do you think is going to win?
Oh, based on compositions? I have no idea, because I don't think compositions matter at all.
I'm going with Giants.
I think that both these teams are going to see how well they play around Dragon or Baron, and it will be those moments in time that will determine the game.
That is the weakest answer.
What? How is that weak? Like, both these teams have either won or lost.
That's like me saying, oh yeah, both these teams are going to play the laning phase, and whoever is better and gets a 10,000 gold lead will win the game.
Yeah, but like one of these teams did have like a 6,000 gold lead and they still lost the game. So, no. My logic is absolutely fine. And that's a carrot on his head.
Have you not seen the bunny rabbit?
Yeah, I can't remember when they changed it to a carrot.
On the bunny rabbit skin.
Oh, there we go.
That's the whole point of it. I like the fact that when the Chum the Waters comes up, this big rabbit comes up and eats the carrot as well. These are the small things I enjoy as a play-by-play caster. You analyze macro, you look at vision, you look at towers and objectives. To me, the team that's going to win is the team with the prettier skins.
The prettier skins?
Yep.
I mean...
And look at this bunny skin. So pretty. This, however, Snow Day Graves, looking for the gank in the top lane. On towards Kick is going to try and force him back. Of course, no flash. That's how the playful Trickster just hit level 2. Will jump away, but dodge backs into the wall. A couple of turret shots onto Memento means that he's pretty low as well.
That's actually really unlucky for Giants, because not only did Flaxish not get level 2 because he had to share the lane experience with Memento, but Kikis also just got level 2, so he could max Playful Trickster and he could get away. So very unfortunate there for Giants. Will also mean that Memento can't steal away the enemy blue, can't move into the enemy jungle with Flaxish. But still nice to see Memento shifting up his playstyle, looking to get a couple of early kills. He knows that if he can shut down the Fizz early, maybe get the Renekton snowballing a little bit. And that's a big win condition for the side of Giants.
I mean, look at the CS discrepancy already in that top lane. I know the wave's pushing into Kicker, so he'll get some of this back, but there's probably going to be an 8 to 10 CS lead here for Flaxish as he just pushes the wave up time and time again.
Well, that's what Renekton does. He is a lane bully, he always has been. And it does help when your jungler comes into lane as well. And Flaxish is an individual. He did come in as a rookie. Wasn't even in the Challenger series. He played for a lot of different amateur scenes, and you and I even cast him back in the UK scene.
That we did. Good old days, Vedius.
Yeah, during the ESL UK Premiership. He was a bit of a monster back then, but then when you come and play with the big boys, things get a little bit tougher. You can't afford to play all these hard carries like Aurelia.
Well, Kiki seems to disagree with you, because that's exactly what he's doing.
That's very true.
And there's a lot of experience as well between Kikis and Amazing. Like, we talk about the ability for junglers to impact the game, and Kikis and Amazing, because they know each other's playstyle so well, and because they've played together so long, very often we see them being on the same wavelength and going for engages at the same time. Last game, Nautilus dredge line into the Lee Sin follow-up. And here I'm expecting that more. I'm expecting the thrill of the hunt onto a Chum the Water target. I'm expecting them to be able to work together and perhaps get Fnatic Academy their second win in this series.
And when Amazing hits 6, that top lane is going to be a big point of focus for him. He has to be careful though. You have to play that gank very carefully, because Renekton is always a dangerous one to gank, simply because a lot of people don't respect the amount of heal that he gets from his Q when he's above that certain Fury bar. On top of that, the stun damage and duration can be pretty monstrous, and then the amount of damage that his Dominus does along with the bonus health. There are just a lot of things to factor in when trying to gank Renekton. So. And
great Renektons are able to get even more damage out of that kit as well. You look at getting rid of the actually exhaust coming down here from Clyde, flashes in, Hiku will get taken quite low, has to flash himself. Niski's here on the chase, will flash in, lands the tether. Is this enough? It is! First blood to Fnatic, Amazing, a pre-6 gank and a pre-6 roam from Niski.
And Hustlin flashes out of the way of the binding to allow Hiku to get hit by it. So unfortunate for the AD carry of Giants. If Hustlin had just taken that and then flashed afterwards, he might have been Rudy, he might have even lost his life, but his AD carry would have survived. So I feel like that's sort of decision-making you would make when playing with your AD carry. You would just leave him to the Sharks.
Hey, I'm the carry. I think we all know that when we play bot lane. Which one of us is Diamond again? Sorry.
I can't remember. My memory's pretty hazy. Now, looking down at the bottom lane, that was an effective gank. Nice roam from Niski. When we get a look at the replay, I actually want to look at the positioning of the wave as we see a dive up top.
Chum the Waters onto Flaxish, going to get a lot of damage down the Ignite there as well, and Flaxish dies to Kikis. Kikis hits 6 first and makes Flaxish play.
Yep, he has the Ignite in lane. You have the ability to win out in the 1 versus 1, especially if you have a level advantage over your opponent, and this all backtracks towards, remember that gank that happened early on from Memento. He came up top, he took some of the experience away from Flaxish, and now we see a 4-man unit moving up to the top lane. I think their focus is just to take down this turret earlier.
It's smart play though, because Renekton is all about the early game, and if you get rid of the tower, you get that lane lengthened, make it a lot easier for Kikis to be there, and a lot harder to Flaxish to get any fights.
This is also a really good movement, because the best thing Giants can do is trade. Now remember that Fnatic, they should be able to push this minion wave pretty far in. Giants may be able to move towards the Drake. I wonder whether or not they're just going to quickly rush it down, but you also have to bear in mind that Niski has push over in the middle lane as well. But this will free up Fizz. He can now move around the map a little bit more. He doesn't have to be forced into this short lane against the Renekton. as we were discussing, you know, he now has a little bit more freedom.
Amazing steals away the red, doesn't hit 6, going to try and get away from Flaxish, has to flash. Flaxish, of course, does not have his flash, so shouldn't be able to chase this. No boost advantage either. Amazing's continuing to run away, and with the bowler, we'll be able to slow down Flaxish. Coming to the mid lane, though, let's have a look at this, because Knight's picked up his tiers, actually ahead.
Oh, don't have time. Replay. This is actually backtracks to the play that happened earlier on. The bottom lane of Giants pushing up quite far. And look, you can see.
Oh.
Hustlin, if you'd just taken it for your teammate.
If the minion wave was slightly quicker as well, if they bought boots, they would have got in the way of that chain.
Quite possibly. So here we also have the 1v1 play. Simply the matter of level 6 versus level 5. Doesn't have the dominus. If he did, maybe he could have won the trade back, or he would have had a few more options. But good use of that ultimate from Kikis.
So Vedius, we've had a curse throughout this series. We're in game 3. Fnatic Academy got first blood. They also got first turret. Are they going to lose this game?
That's what I'm telling you. You can't determine this game up until the Baron starts. Like, the moment Baron spawns, that's when this game really starts, right?
20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes. For the time being, gold means nothing. Advantages mean nothing. Dragons are important. The number of dragons that you have, because we know at least 2 Elder Dragons are going to spawn this game.
We jest, but of course these teams do have strategy coming in. They do know how they want to play. I like the fact Fnatic have I like the fact Fnatic have moved back to more of their 1-3-1 conventional style. However, Giants are reacting to the position of Fnatic at the moment and the vision control they have. They're going to take this Mountain Drake, and it's the first dragon on the cards. Also pushing out mid with Flaxish, who has left that top lane to come mid and help out this push. In fact, Amazing's getting dived, but Niski's here. Flaxish jumps back in. The first kill goes down. Flaxish will fall in response. Knight tanking up the turret. Not going to get taken out. It's a 1-for-1. Memento will get the dragon.
So they tried to punish the fact that Amazing used his flash earlier on after he stole away the red buff. With him dead and the ultimate unavailable for Niski, Giants now looking to push down onto mid lane.
Oh, Niski's going to get locked up. Room prison. Goodbye. Go to jail. Don't pass go. Do not collect 200 gold. The gold instead goes over to Giants. Netherglass wants to hustling. But Cly, what are you doing, man? Straight into the midst of all of Giants.
I told you this game doesn't start till the 20-minute mark.
It's only 10 minutes in.
Throwing back and forth. And right now, no, I was just about to say, as Giants, they're the ones to catch this time. Really good pick, actually, onto Niski. He tried to use his W to add to the wave clear, and because now there's a delay on it, that actually enabled Knight to land the root. And then really good decision from Giants to just suddenly go, okay, let's dive, let's dive. They have the Ash Arrow up available. You also have the chain CC with the Zyra too, so they get themselves a very swift kill. I think the process with which Cly went through, yeah, we can talk about it when we actually see it. So here you can see, this is a pretty relatively safe dive because Giants, they have the numbers advantage. I think they're expecting Knight to have a little bit more damage. But you can see here, right, so Niski, he's going to use his dash in. No, we don't have time for that.
Stranglethorns comes down, Amazing and locked up. Hustling able to get out of the back, and now Hiku's going to trade back onto Rana as Cly steps forward, exhaust down. And actually the rest of Fnatic are closing in. Here's the Realm Warp in by Knight onto Niski. He was in the midst of 3 members of Fnatic Academy. They decide not to turn because the rest of Giants are coming up. And meanwhile, in the bot lane, Flaxish just continues his push. Now, he's not that farmed, he's not that fed, but if he can split push like this, he puts a massive timer on Fnatic Academy to react.
It's also actually moving him away from the Fizz as well, because he knows that right now in the 1v1, he probably isn't strong enough, especially with these core components of the Trinity Force being completed for Kikis. The fact that he's gotten himself a bit of magic resistance should help, but now that he's being able to move to a side lane and just get a bit of experience, he has more teamfight value than the Fizz does. Remember that AD Fizz, like, we saw Foxy, the Foxy-Toxy, really having a big impact on a lot of fights, but that's because of how well he was getting off flanks, his target selection was, and we know that Kikis can do this, but can the rest of his team set him up in order to do that, right? So as long as Flaxish is still farming away, getting this good farm off, and being able to complete some of his core items, then that will give him some big team fight prowess that Giants can now play towards.
And also, diving this backline isn't that easy for the Fizz. Like, you've got Ash who's got the arrow, you've got Stranglethorns coming out from the Zyra, you've got 1 exhaust to get through with the Zyra as well. Knight can reposition with the Realm Warp. It's not as easy a fight as it might seem. The last time we really saw Kikis playing this assassin who wants to get on the backline is against PSG in week 1 of the Challenger Series when he played Echo into a Jhin. He was able to shut down Pilot there, but this is a very different lineup to have to play into, and especially actually as Kikis dives onto Flax's Amazings here as well, but Flaxis will try and heal himself up with the Cold of Meat. Kikis tanking Playful Trickster is another great flash from Flaxish. That was super to get the kill on Amazing and get out yourself. Flaxish, take a bow.
Giants Flaxish. He gets himself the outplay, and it all comes off the fact that Kikis misses his fish. Like, from point-blank range, he wasn't able to land it. I don't know if he's going to have the damage to be able to get down this tower. Flaxish, he does have TP, so he could use it if he wants to. Instead, he's just going to play the safe game, and Niski is going to TP back to mid.
Double TP, of course, from Fnatic. Arrow came out trying to catch him. Immediately, he jumps away, but the tower's going to fall. This is not quite the third tower for Giants. They're looking for it, but not quite able to get it down. Knight, this game, is playing outstandingly on the rise. Is his most played champion across the entire LCS split, and you have to remember that although Knight perhaps hasn't had the best of splits, he was rookie of the split last split. He was the standout new player in the LCS, and this is looking much more like that Knight than the Knight we've seen over spring split.
Well, I feel like that Knight plays better when he's set up for success, and when he's able to get so many easy kills off of a really good couple of picks down onto that 2-1 in the mid lane. That's just better setting up this rise for success. And the fact that he's already completed the Rod of Ages, 13 minutes into the game, that tier is already stacking. The scaling power of Giants is starting to look promising. Now, we talked about Knight, we also need to talk about Niski. A build that you may have seen before is the Gunblade LeBlanc build. Under much debate as to its viability, I think it's pretty cool because of the bonus damage that it gives you. Right now, we don't have time for that as Giants looking for a dive on the Kikis.
Kikis will get caught up in the grasping roots, but Playful Trickster gets you away. Amazing, however, doesn't have the E to jump away. We'll just dash. Niski came in as well and put a lot of hurt down onto Memento, which stopped him in his tracks. Giants do still have a 2,000 gold lead, though. 5 kills to 3 up, and two towers to the good.
So 6 more minutes and the game will start. But yeah, let's have a look back at this dive, okay? So, right, notice here, ultimate misses from Kikis. He actually just throws it to the left rather than underneath the turret. And that magic shield from Flaxish really helping a lot with the passive damage. Then Amazing, he actually ends up tanking the tower because Kikis used his Playful Trickster to drop aggro when Kikis was actually the tankier one. And you can see the delight on his face. I believe what he actually said was, get wrecked.
Channeling his inner Dyrus there. Get out of my lane, sir!
No, it was good outplay, 2v1. That's always worth praising.
He dodged both the savagery from the Rengar and the Playful Trickster with that flash, so very well done by him. Helped Giants keep this lead. However, he is starting to fall behind in CS, and Renekton from behind isn't always the easiest beast to tame. 25 CS down in that lane. Mid lane slightly in favor of Giants with Knight ahead. And actually in the jungle, you can see once again Memento living up to his name. Himself up to almost a 40 CS lead over Amazing.
Well, Memento, after that one gank in the early game, he said, I've met my quota for the series, so I'm going to go back to the jungle. And in his defense, he is now level 10. The fact that Amazing has failed so many ganks actually makes farming junglers so much more stronger because of the benefit that you get in terms of experience and gold. And you can see that he's already completed that the Hex Drinker, so he's in a very good position right now. Again, setting Giants up nicely to be able to go for this teamfight composition that they do have, but they also have the freedom to 1-3-1. You can see that Knight has already been moved up into a side lane to be able to match the pressure that Niski's trying to exert.
And you have to remember, with so many 50-50 smites, having that experience advantage does give you more damage on your smite. Incredibly important in this sort of matchup.
Oh yeah, super important.
Your teams are playing very much on the edge of their seats. Ocean Drake does go over to Giants. They've got the first 2 dragons of this game and extend their lead ever so slightly. The question is, how will Fnatic react? When they were playing against PSG, we had a short bit from Kikis saying sometimes when we fall behind, we struggle because we just don't have the mental fortitude to continue. Now, they were able to continue versus PSG, even into that losing a devastating game 4 and winning game 5. Will they be able to come back from a deficit against Giants?
What is being behind in this series? Because let us recall to game 1, where Fnatic had a pretty sizable lead in the early game, and then they ended up losing with a gold advantage. So were they behind? That's that's a debate. In game 2, they too were actually in a deficit in the early game, but then clawed it back. So they were able to get a sizable gold advantage by the end of the game. So is gold lead really a determining factor in who has control over the game? Excellent question, one that I don't really have the answer for.
Memento and Knight are trying to push it in this top lane. Are you saying the only gold that matters is the 50 gold you get for destroying the Nexus?
I think that's what matters, yes.
Great color point there. Take that into LCS next time you cast there, see what Deficio thinks.
Right, so
take you out of the room.
Fnatic
Jumping in
rush.
by Niski and Knight and Memento pull the Fnatic push on Fnatic.
Good snipe there. That's actually going to relieve a lot of side lane pressure. Notice here, look, Hiku, he's starting to push down mid. He needs to get this wave going in their favor. Flaxish down bottom already has a big minion wave piling up. 3 members of Giants now moving up to the top side. Ooh, but the Fnatic want to answer.
Now the glass comes down, QSS straight away. Knight will flash away, does get caught with the second bolo, and here is the fish coming in from the side onto Hustling. Marles gets the kill, Knight's low as well. Gonna get chased down here by Fnatic Academy. Almost puts the damage back down onto Kikis, but gets shut down by the Fizz.
Fnatic force the engage onto the top side of the map. They know that with a number of abilities already used down onto the LeBlanc, they feel that they can make something happen, especially with only the squishy members and no Ashe and no Renekton. And unfortunately for Giants, they can't even get themselves anything else on the map. They can't get any damage down to this tier 2 in the bottom. Ashe can push into the tier 1 in the mids, and Giants, they just overstayed their welcome a little bit, and Fnatic look to punish.
You know what I hate, Vedius?
Brussels sprouts.
Well, actually, I love Brussels sprouts.
Cauliflower.
I love all vegetables, man.
Beetroot.
Yep, big fan. Kale.
Oh.
Only kale if not cooked, I dislike. But you know what I hate about this series?
Oh, this series? Yeah. Oh, I see. Go.
I'm trying to, like, break down the game and see, oh, we can see this team's winning. We're going to break down this fight once again. Fnatic push here from Giants.
Yeah. The interesting thing is Niski actually used his W into the brush in almost to scare off an opponent, but in fact it just sentenced him to death. But now this is actually just a really good engage from Fnatic Academy. Notice that Knight, he can't even use his Realm Walk to get out. He's forced to use all of his summoner spells, and he still ends up going down along with his support. And this was Giants trying to pressure onto the top side, but they didn't realize that they don't have enough pressure on the other side lanes in order to make that trade happen, so that even if Fnatic choose to engage, they don't lose anything.
Kick is caught out by Knight, and Memento going to try and playful tricks it his way away. Dodges around. And here comes Memento, Fly there as well. The arrow lands from downtown. That's Kikis dead. Easy kill for Giants as they snipe him away. So
now Giants have gotten themselves a pick onto Kikis, which will alleviate a lot, again, of the side lane pressure. But bear in mind that Niski's up in the top lane. He does have TP. Won't matter, because the 4-man unit of Giants will take themselves the turret.
Another tower for Giants. What I was going to say that I hate Vedius is I hate the fact that I'm trying to analyze these games, I'm trying to break them down, I'm trying to say, you know, Giants had a lead, they should be able to do this, they should do this.
Yeah.
And every time you just say, nah, you know, goal doesn't matter, 20 minutes, wait for the game to start. And it turns out to be true. The goal's the same as it was a couple of minutes ago, about a 2,500 gold lead for Giants. They've got an extra couple of towers, maybe they can do something with that.
My friend, I've got a whole split of Challenger under my belt already. I know what these games are like. The issue for a lot of Challenger teams and bottom LCS teams is that even with gold leads, they don't properly know how to take advantage of. And like, just like you saw right there, okay? So Giants got themselves a kill, and they weren't entirely sure where they should be pushing their lead. They thought, oh, well, this is fine. We have numbers advantage. We have 3 men top. We have 1 mid. We have 1 bot. This is great. Like, Fnatic can't answer all 3 lanes. So instead, they just send the 4 into the 3, and then Giants realize, oh, yeah, we actually only have 1 member mid, we only have 1 member top, and we can't actually take anything off the back of it, right? So these realizations come a little bit too late, and they don't properly plan in advance to utilize, which is why you see these so many back and forths, because they don't have enough of an understanding to know where to push their lead.
Case in point, Giants push down the mid lane after clearing out some vision. They almost take the tower down, won't quite get it. Oh yes, they will. Knight's going to chase onto Cly, actually. Giants with 5 members here mid. Might get flanked. The Thriller hunt is on from Amazing. Here's the Realm Warp away, but Knight's not going to be able to take that one. Gets caught up with the chains. Fizz is on his way. Kikis trying to join, but Amazing's already dead. It's a 4v5. If Kikis can get here, can't even get the flank off. The heal used, and Giants will back away. They'll take a tower. They'll take a kill. No! Flaxus wants more. Nethergrass straight onto him. Kikis is still nowhere near this fight. Fnatic won't get the full engage they want, and Giants will get away. Kick is still there, he's still looking for something, but with all the soul searching in the world, he cannot find the opening.
And Giants, they get themselves not only a kill, but an outer or an inner tower as well, so their control over the map continues to extend. Fnatic, they just can't quite find the fights that they want. They're struggling to answer the pressure that Giants are successfully able to exert. And again, it just comes back to Giants. They see a window, they immediately try to push it. And the thing is, for Kike, sure, he's a big threat in a side lane. If he has a big minion wave, then he can very quickly take a tower down. But he doesn't have the same sort of wave clear that a Renekton does. So when he moves off into a side lane, if there's a big minion wave, that's actually a big window for Giants to be able to push something, because Kikis is going to take time before he can properly utilize that wave.
Here comes the Chum the Waters. Flaxus does get the stun off with the Ruthless Predator, just chased away. Part of it comes back to what you were talking about when we discussed compositions as well. It feels like Giants, although they could go for a 1-3-1, are playing much more around skirmishes and fights here. And Fnatic keep going back to this 1-3-1 and not really being able to utilize it. Now they do get a Cloud Drake. Kikis jumped on. Ruthless Predator stuns him up, and Flaxus has that Hex Drinker popped. Kikis is still pretty healthy. Lower on mana. Hiku caught out. Dodges the arrow. Niski with a great flash. Wood can get the damage down. Amazing will come in to clean up the kill. Fnatic Academy snipe off a pick once again.
So, you took the words right out of my mouth. Niski with the pick in mid lane. The fact that Hiku gets caught out of position, you should have really been closer to the turret, staying closer to his vision. But let's have a look at this fight that happened earlier on. This is where Fnatic, they try to force an engage. They think that with Kikis coming in from the flank, they can actually get a successful fight going in their favor. But the Rengar gets caught out and shut down far too quickly for Fnatic to feel confident enough to keep on chasing with the fight. And it's one of the things you have to bear in mind with Fnatic's composition. They don't actually have a very reliable front line. Kikis is going more towards the off-tank. Rengar, yes, he's got a little bit more defensive stats with the W, but he's actually gone for a Black Cleaver first. So whichever engage comes out from Fnatic, Giants can actually play like they did in Game 2 and just focus whoever hits them first.
Interesting itemization here as well from Knight. He went Rod of Ages, Quicksilver Sash, now he's completed a Zhonya's, has a tear.
This is fine. This is an absolutely fine build path. I have no problem with this at all. You're purely scaling towards the tier Roa build, and once both of them are fully stacked, that's where you hit a really big spike as Rise. So by going for a third defensive item in the form of like a Zhonya's, not a problem whatsoever. It also synergizes really nicely with your ultimate. Because we've seen a lot of really cool plays where if you use the Realm Warp and the Zhonya's, you'll still get moved, right?
It just seems
I think it's fine.
The only reason I find it odd is QSS alongside a Cleanse Summoner spell just feels like a lot of mitigation for CC. I mean, it's worked out for him. He's been able to escape on a couple of occasions, but just delays that power a little bit more. And we've seen when we get to late game with these teams, you can never really tell who's going to win.
I think that the only thing that he really needs now is a Void Staff. And if Kikis was a tank, I think he should have needed it sooner, but because if you actually look across the board, there's really little magic resistance on the side of Fnatic Academy, so there's not actually that great of a risk. He's still going to be doing a fair amount of damage, even without like a third, quote-unquote, damage-dealing item. So I think the QSS is absolutely fine. Yeah, I can understand like why it's a little bit confusing with it's just that you're respecting the Rengar, the Fizz, the Malzahar. Now we see a little bit of a trade once again down in bottom. Fizz does have ulti.
Oh, here comes the Chum the Waters. Knight down as well. Dominus pop. Kikis tanking up that tower still. Jumps back in. Maybe looking for the Playful Trickster out. Onto Flaxus. He slices and dices his way away, but he's not going to be able to live today. Taken out. Coop's happy enough with the kill. Fnatic very happy indeed. Managing to get another one. Now they'll get a tower in the bot lane and can push up mid in this 4v4.
The thing is, this is the risk that you're always going to have if you're Giants, because Kikis will just scale better and better and better later into the game. Fizz trades so well, largely because of the mark above his head. The change to his W means that his trading pattern is so much stronger, which means that Renekton is just gradually going to get outscaled. And unless Knight can get to a point where he can deal with Kikis, Giants are going to struggle to have this side lane answer.
Well, Gold League comes down to about 3K once again, 25 minutes in. Back and forth stuff, although Giants have been in the lead for a while. Saw a lot of poke from Rales and Niski underneath that turret there, forcing Hustling and EQ back. The Renekton seems to be falling further behind. It's going towards a Blade of the Ruined King next as well. So quite an aggressive build there from Flaxish.
Thing is, so it's really difficult to itemize towards a Fizz because while he's hitting you a lot with basic attacks, all of his abilities do magic damage. And Flaxish is basically saying here, I cannot be defensive towards you, so I'm just going to build aggressively. And if I have more damage, that will mean my ability to trade with you is better. I understand the logic, don't know whether or not the practical effects will benefit him.
We'll have to wait and see. Fnatic, well, we're 6 minutes into the game proper, Vedius, being at the 26 to 27 minute mark.
Baron.
Yep, Fnatic are starting to set vision up around it. There's a control ward in the back of the pit for Giants. Not that much vision actually into the enemy jungle, which is what we tend to see from these teams before they set up towards these big objectives. Cloud Drake is up in a minute and a half, not the end of the world for either of these teams. Fnatic have been a little bit unlucky in the timing of the Dragons because Giants got the first two and then Fnatic are able to get them, but they've had two clouds as opposed to the mountain and the ocean. Now, Kikis is going to flank here. Knight's off towards the side as well. Fnatic really just looking for the tower. Amazing. Does get caught up with the arrow. Going to get taken low. Does manage to get away. Kikis now perhaps on the wrong side. Knight jumped in by Niski. He uses the Zhonya's Hiku caught out and Mr. Rales takes him down. 1-for-1 trade is Clive falls as well. Knight just about surviving up towards the side. Niski jumps back in but can't do enough damage. And now Flaxus is that front line for Giants. And they should be able to get back under the tower. Kikis jumps in. Mr. Rales takes him out. Amazing joins the fray from the side. Memento gets shut down. Great play by Fnatic, dodging in and out and dipping around the tower.
Really well executed. Re-engage. Oh, are they going to kill?
No, it's not going to.
Nah. That would have been cool.
It would, like, if it had hit him any quicker, it would have killed him. That's it.
So close.
Oh, credit to our observers, by the way. Great job following that. I used to do a lot of observing when I was like amateur casting. That is very difficult to do. So.
I can imagine so. Right now, Fnatic, after getting themselves a big teamfight win, they're setting their eyes on the Baron. Amazing is alive. Here comes the TP.
This is spicy because look at Rales. He hasn't really got that much mana. The Redemption's going to come down as well just to heal them up. Kick is there, but here's the Hawk shot, and now they're in vision. Hustling off towards the side, 6,000 HP on that Baron. Amazing joins the fray. Here's the Realm Warp in. Is Knight going to follow it? No. TP coming in as well. The Chum the Water's onto the rise, though. The Baron is so low. Flaxus looks for the Wonder Steal. Can he do it? So close, not quite. And now Fnatic Academy need to get away because otherwise they might lose all these Baron buffs straight away. Flaxus is low. Here are the rest of Giants closing in. Momento's on his way to the fray. Hustling's low. He gets taken down by Niski. Kick is caught out. Not quite enough from Giants and the Baron, and a kill to Fnatic.
Much safer Baron play this time.
Oh, it's a double. Niski takes out Flaxish. Now he's going to jump back in. Fnatic can take this fight if they want. It's a 3v5.
Just disengage, Fnatic.
Don't disengage.
Just disengage.
Disengage is the call. They'll back away. They get a Baron. They get 2 kills, and they get themselves right back into this game.
Much cleaner Baron take from Fnatic this time. They knew that with Memento dead, the risk of a steal was much lower. Amazing to not throw out an early smite, even though Flaxus jumped over the wall and it looked close. He knew that the smite damage would be more than enough to secure that objective. Giants go for a dragon, and this could be bad.
On tonight, Kikis goes once again. The Chum the Waters. Knight's going to get knocked up. Memento's going to get caught out. Knight's low. Kikis chasing in. Not quite enough to take him out. But Niski's here onto Hiku. He's well out of position as he gets taken down once again. Mr. Rales looking for Memento. Can't quite get the snipe. But they'll turn their eyes back towards the Cloud Drake. A Baron, a Cloud Drake, a couple of kills. What more can a man want?
All right, so that was a very extended trade overall. Fnatic Academy, they get themselves what was a pretty sweet dive down in the middle lane, dancing very closely with the edge of death, using the high mobility to just disengage and then re-engage. And now we see the round walk coming through from Giants trying to answer the pressure from Fnatic.
And force them back, and actually this Baron hasn't given them too much yet. They have got a mid lane tower being pushed onto, but Knight's going to try and rotate around there to stop it. Won't quite save the inner tower, but might, well, they will save the inhibitor tower because that's not been taken. So Fnatic with this Baron thus far, only got 1 tower. Not even going for the Cloud Drake, don't value that one.
But look at how the re-engage. So Giants, the engage isn't ideal because they throw a lot onto Amazing, but this time they don't burst him down like they have in the past. Flaxish can't really get an ideal way into the fight. While he does shut down Glide, this is where you start to see the kiting of Fnatic Academy. Look at Rales and Niski just dancing in and out of the fight, just throwing out poke, making sure to stay out of range of Flaxish. And then you have Amazing off on the side, waiting to go for the re-engage. Kikis utilizing his playful trickster to just avoid any damage becoming targetable. And then they're able to get a lot of these great re-engage fights. And then they know that this is a pretty safe Baron because the likelihood of a steal without the smite is very low.
It went down to 450 HP, as close as that was. Now Fnatic do keep going for the fight afterwards.
Yeah, I think that the fight was a little long-winded from Fnatic. I think they could have just disengaged at this point. But they know they're pretty strong. They know that they can, again, the high mobility, their ability to dance in and out, and just punish the mispositionings, the slight mispositioning from Giant. Good play overall from Fnatic Academy.
Whoa, that damage from Niski onto Hiku, the true shot barrage, not quite enough. And now they'll go for the inhibitor tower. Kikis is splitting mid here as well. So they've got two turrets under pressure. Clyde caught out with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Redemption heals him up. It takes so long for Giants to kill him that in the mid lane, the tower's going to fall as well. Rales on a rampage. Fnatic looking for the fight that Zonya's used by Knight to get himself out of there. But Fnatic will get an inhibitor in the top lane. In the bot lane, they'll get an inhibitor in the mid lane. And they are looking for the win.
This is a much better Fnatic, and this is much more of what we expected of them following the playoffs. Kikis being on a carry, getting himself a lot more solo kills. Niski being able to move off onto the other side lane and draw all this pressure that Giants have to find answers to. And just finding these skirmishes, finding these picks, playing much more like a team in order to net themselves so much control over the map, but also to get a cleaner Baron to break into the base, and now they are in a much better position to close out the game.
That they are. Game obviously only started 12 minutes ago at that 20-minute mark. Already we've seen a Baron, we've seen a Dragon, and we've seen two inhibitors fall in favor of Fnatic Academy. However, we have been in this situation before, Vedius. Until you take the Nexus, that game is not over, and I'm sure Giants will be smacking their lips and rubbing their hands together and thinking, look, we've still got a chance. We're only 6,000 gold behind. It's not the biggest lead, not the biggest deficit we have seen in this series.
That Rise now has the Archangel staff completed. He's level 16 as well, but here comes the flank from Kikis.
Yeah, he's going to just come in with a Chum the Waters. Memento chunk low, down to half. Amazing jumps in, and Memento will survive, but not through the true shot barrage. Fnatic Academy onto Flaxish as well. They melt through the Crocodile. They'll take him out. Knight caught up. Niski jumping around as much as he can, but perhaps Knight wants a little bit more of this. Hiku down to half as Fnatic continue their advance. Super minions pushing down the middle lane as well towards those inhibitor towers. Fnatic Academy just want this final Nexus. TP in here as they're going to join the fight. Knight force back, Cly low, Stranglethorn's down, Amazing on the flank, not quite going to get it. And here is Kikis looking for Hiku. Can he take down the Ashe? Can he reduce him to ashes? Not quite yet. Third inhibitor's going to fall though, and Fnatic, they're so close, they can taste victory. It's right at their fingertips. They just need to get through the Nexus towers.
And right now, Fnatic, they want to get these kills.
They're on tonight. The Zonya's used though, and Kikis tanking it up will be healthy enough. Niski gets in, Amazing gets the kill. The Nexus tower's down. Fnatic Academy are gonna go 2-1 unless Flaxish can do something miraculous. He gets onto Cly, he takes one. Mr. Rales is kiting for his life and surviving. Memento there, Niski's on the Nexus. Hiku and Memento will try and react. Can they stop the LeBlanc from doing the backdoor? Here's Rales jumping onto Hiku. They take down one. Memento, it's all up to you, but you just can't pull the rabbit out of your hat as Fnatic Academy go 2-1 up.
Much cleaner games from Fnatic Academy overall. This time, I think they played much more towards their strength. They had Kikis on a champion where he could go for the outplays, where he could prove that he is, in the 1v1, a stronger individual than Flaxish is. He gets himself many solo kills throughout this series, and while Flaxish did demonstrate moments of greatness, being able to get that 2v1 outplay and getting a couple good flanks and fights, the reality was that Kikis being able to just constantly push onto one side lane, and the 4v4 unit of Giants could never really do anything onto the 4-man unit of Fnatic Academy, meant that it was just it was a ticking time bomb, right? Giants, they needed to find some way of forcing more plays around the map, and something that we've been saying throughout this series is that Giants don't know how to be proactive in the mid game.
It's true. It's so true, and I think you have to look at it both from an individual versus individual standpoint, so the lane standpoint, and how they're playing as a team. Because at times, Giants, as you said, have moments of brilliance. You know, we saw great play in the mid lane early on, 3-0-0 on that rise. Knight got himself so far ahead. Hiku was landing good arrows at times, but when you look at the scoreboard at the end, you say, what really happened? Mr. Raleigh had the highest damage in the game, almost 10,000 more than Hiku. Where's it going wrong for Giants? What are they doing wrong?
It's just that, okay, so bear in mind you had a 3-0-0 rise that didn't do anything.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's one of those things, like we already briefly talked about the idea that they don't know how to play around the mid game, and while on an individual level they certainly have some strengths, they just don't know what to do with the lead. Like they get stuck. They don't properly know how to use their composition, and to make things worse, you did have, you had Flaxish in a losing side lane up against Kikis. Hiku landed a couple of good arrows, but I think it was wrong of him to go for Black Cleaver third rather than a QSS. He was actually getting caught out a number of times in a lot of fights. Yeah. But yeah, I just think that it's Giants not doing anything. And then in game one, bear in mind that the reason why they won was because they were able to punish a lot of the mistakes that Fnatic made, and they also, it was like super close on how they even ended that game in the first place, right? So,
well, can Fnatic Academy close out the series with a win in game 4? We'll find out after the break.